This is the PartyPoker.net World 10-Pin Masters from the Barnsley Metrodome. The last of the quarter-finals will be played today. It's been a tough tournament so far, and 11 of the best have already been sent out of the running. So one false move really can cost them the tournament. Let's look at the draw so far.
Just one quarter-final to be decided, then we'll know the full semi-final lineup. Already defending champion Chris Barnes is through to face Australia's Jason Belmonte. Paul Moore of England awaits the winner of our next match, left-hander Remy Ong of Singapore, the Asian #1, against Dominic Barrett of England.
Both Remy Ong and Dominic Barrett had very close matches in the last round. Now, with only one spot left in the semi-finals, they can't afford to make any mistakes.
Right, I'm Remy from Singapore, and I'm playing against Dominic from England.
I'm Dominic Barrett, and I'm playing Remy Ong.
Well, he's good. He's young. He has lots of potential. So it's a two-games thing. Anything can happen. So I'm just go out there and give it all my best shot.
He's a very good player. He's won the gold medal in the World Championships last year. So he's obviously a very tough opponent.
Time now to join your commentators, Cass Edwards, and first, Simon Golding.
Plenty to cheer about for this home crowd in Barnsley so far at this year's World 10-Pin Masters. Two Englishmen still in the competition. Paul Moore through to the semi-final, and he awaits the winner of this next match between Dominic Barrett of England and the man from Singapore, Asia's #1 in your picture, Remy Ong.
Yeah, nice shot there of the 10-pin standing in a triangle. Again, as we've mentioned before, this is just a short format, two-game shootout for these players.
Ong, the 28-year-old, came through against Torry Torgerson in the first round when he's not 10-pin bowling. He's a real estate agent in Singapore, so you just get the feeling Remy Ong's going to do quite well in life. But he's got his bowling to concentrate on for the moment. And he really is a formidable opponent, and if he comes through this match, Cass, we could end up with an all-left-hand semi-final.
Yeah, what a feast that could be. That'll be very interesting.
Last practice ball then for Ong before we get this game underway. But never really saw him crack a smile on the lane for many years, but this year he's been interacting with the crowd, waving and smiling, enjoying his bowling. It just shows you how players progress through their career, how their mindset changes. A few years back down the line, Dominic Barrett, the youngster born in Cambridge, now based in Essex, 21 years of age. Got some pretty good stats there, and a good scalp in the first round. Deandra Hasbati, the current World Cup champion, played a great game for a portion of that first match. He looked very, very solid on the lane. But at 21 years of age, there's still so much for this young man to learn, Cass, and experience is probably the thing that's missing from his game at the moment.
You're quite right, he's got plenty of time to experience more in this game and learn more. Funnily enough, he's actually been the UK's #1 ranked bowler for the last 2 years.
So Barrett's last ball before he too can settle down and try and get off to the best possible start. That's the issue for the bowlers in this sprint over the 2 games. You've got to really get yourself off to a decent start, and at the very worst you've got to keep pace with your opponent. But if you turn round and go into game 2 with anything like 30-40 pins as a deficit, then the pressure is on. Tournament referee Bernie White.
Gentlemen, wish you good luck, good bowling. Remy to start the first game.
Tremendously appreciative of this wonderful field that's been assembled for this year's tournament, and he gets that ringside seat, of course, to watch these guys in action. Remy Ong then, Asia's #1, up against the talented Englishman Dominic Barrett for a place in the semi-final against Paul Moore in the last of our quarter-finals.
Just a quick reminder, Simon, that both of these players will be actually trying to beat the lane And if they can conquer that, then it's likely they're going to beat their opponent. But they won't be looking at one another, and they probably won't be talking to one another. It's the lane they need to beat. Freshly dressed. Lane conditioner 2/3 of the way down to the lane, tapers out to about 41 feet. And that's where the grip and the friction takes hold, and the balls hook up to the pocket.
Well, I'll be interested to see where Ong decides to start. And the choice is a good one.
Starts in the pocket, doesn't he? The 1-2 pin pocket for the left-hander. Really high backswing, great follow-through, steady at the line. Just rips the rack.
Well, he had the luxury of watching the last quarter-final very closely. Two left-handers, Alex Liu and Paul Moore. I think he would have learnt quite a bit from that, Cass.
Well, he'll certainly have learnt one or two moves that he's probably aware of anyway, but he knows how this lane is playing. And if it comes to making a change, as you say, it's certainly an advantage. A great response there from Dominic Barrett.
Now, that's exactly the start that Barrett made when he played in his first round match against the American Asbadi. Nice and deep, and then bringing it out wide and hooking it back into that pocket. And if you look at the two bowlers, Cass, there's just that little bit more that could go wrong with Barrett's game as opposed to Ong's. It's not quite as simple and as fluid as Ong's.
He tends to cover a few more boards with the delivery. A little bit out and in. Just a little bit more hook, but Ong, straighter down the lane, really does rip the rack from the left-hand side. That ball comes roaring back from the left-hand channel. Looking to make the first double of the match.
Doesn't get it. Leaves the 10.
Yeah, just a fraction light on that head pin there. Didn't get any messages coming across. Here we see the high backswing, a great follow through. Lots of leverage at the line there. It's just a fraction light. Hits them thin. Can't quite get that cascading effect to take that single corner pin away.
And our first look at the spare ball that Remy Ong uses. I think that's got to be one of my favourites. The football. Wouldn't fancy kicking that one, I must tell you, but down it goes. And kicks out the 10 pin. Strike spare then for Ong. That's how he started this fourth quarter final. Barrett also working a strike. No panic stations yet for Ong. Plenty of time to go, although we say this is a sprint. The players will be looking at the mid part of this first game to really build their game for the rest of this match. Already saw that additional action that Barrett gets on the ball, but he's left the 9.
Yeah, probably just a bit too much action. The ball's cut right through into the 1-3 pocket. It's got so much velocity and rotation on it. The rev rate's up to 483. Of course, it's ripped the rack and hasn't deflected. It's cut right through that 5 pin. It should have deflected off onto the 9. So much power in that back end. That's what leaves a single pin. Straightforward single pin spare. Takes it away nicely. And we're all square after 2 frames.
So identical starts for both players. Strike and then 9 spare. The only difference being they left different pins. Remy leaving the 10 and Barrett leaving the 9. But as close as we thought this was going to be.
He looks pretty relaxed actually for a young man, doesn't he?
He loves this tournament. He said he's wanted to play in it for 3 or 4 years since he's started watching it on Sky Sports, and he wanted to play. He's wanted to play for a long time, and he's determined to take his chance. And last year he gave a great account of himself. He went out first round, but really enjoyed his time. Well, a little bit like Paul Moore, Remy Ong at the moment, leaving a selection of pins. He's gradually working his way through the rack.
Well, he flushed the pocket and he's missed with the last 2 shots, so again, just a fraction light. May just be that he's went into groove a channel through that oil just to get up to the pocket and rip him away. A straightforward spare for Remy. Closes out frame 3. A chance for Barrett to take an early lead. And we see the great style of Remy Ong, two-time world champion, won numerous tournaments around the world in his bowling career.
Classic style to watch. But like many left-handers, Cass, you just seem to see a little bit more of the work that's being done with the fingers as the ball is released. Maybe it's just the camera angles that we get on the left-hander. Barrett, though, back in the strike zone. So a little question for Ong being asked.
Yeah, again, high rev rate, 492. Not as high as our two-handers, obviously, but that's a great shot. Into the pocket, takes all 10, and earns himself just the one-pin lead at this early stage.
That's how it stands, and Barrett looking comfortable. What will Ong's response be? We know what he wants it to be. Sometimes the 10-pin gods don't let that happen. Oh, he's gone across the other side now, leaving the 7-pin. That's more of a traditional leave for the left-hander. Not that that's any consolation to Ong.
Definitely not. It's a much better shot. He's coming inside, kept it a little bit straighter, and there's actually a better pocket hit. Let's flush that 7-pin in the corner. Stood there solid as a rock as the 4 pins jumped around it. Another chance to bring out the spare ball. Hard low friction ball. Should keep it pretty straight and takes that corner pin away quite nicely. So it's 3 single pin spares in a row for Ong. Again, Barrett has the chance to double up and extend that lead. Great camera angle there of the spare shot. Hard and straight.
So 3 9 spares in a row. Not the sort of consistency that he was looking for. Great work. Well, that looked pretty good from about half a metre out. Barrett was pleased with that.
Absolutely, yes. I'd have been pleased with shots like that. Flushes the 1-3 pocket. All the pins go. Absolute devastating power in that pocket.
Back here, Remy Ong struck out in frame 5. And not to be outshone, Dominic Barrett did exactly the same thing. Coming up, frame 6.
Goodness, well, if those revs were correct, that was really astonishing from Barrett. He's throwing very free, very loose. And those are the potential maximums on offer. 580 for Barrett, 558 for Ong. So far, so good, as far as the home crowd are concerned.
Well, that last shot of Barrett's, our CAT system tells us that he was through the 600 revs per minute barrier. And it's only the two-handed bowlers that have done that so far in this event. So it just shows you how much velocity and effort Dominic is putting in. Double time for Remy Ong. He's on his way back. Needs to make the move now and close that gap. Can't afford to let Barrett get away from him. Good move.
Yeah, Ong, you get the feeling he's the type of bowler that really does shut everything else out. He doesn't like a tremendous amount of interaction on the stage with his opponent, and does try as much as possible to keep it strictly business.
Well, there is a television monitor on the stage, off shot obviously, but the players can look down and see the running score sheet of themselves and their opponent, so they're aware of what's going on, but I'm sure also mentally that they know in their own mind what the score is. Barrett shoots 4 in a row, really opening his shoulders up now and really getting some power on that ball, ripping the rack.
Now the key for Barrett here is that he controls this power. We know that he's got it, we know that's available to him. But I think he just got just a touch overexcited in his first round match, and that's when he started to lose his form. And getting into the zone's tough enough, staying in the zone, very, very difficult.
Absolutely, yeah, pacing a, well, fabulous 280 game if he can strike out, but I mean, that's what he'll be aiming to do. Strike every shot is what these players want.
Ong working a double.
Wow, 7-pin solid. Didn't even move, did it? Nice pocket shot. Just the angle that he came up behind that head pin. Great follow through again there. Fabulous start for the left-hander. He's looking for 10. And just can't quite kick it out. So it's just a 9, and that hard spare ball's going to come out yet again. It's getting a bit of use on these corner pins. Very hard surface ball, shouldn't hook much, but crikey, what a basic error that was from Remy Ong. Actually put some fingers in the ball, made it rotate, and it actually hooked as it went into the pin deck, and it's missed that 7-pin. Crikey, what a mistake.
Well, Barrett's in a very, very good position now, that's for sure. 225 is the maximum available to Ong, whereas for Barrett 280, that's their single game scores. The graphic to the far right, the maximum score over 2 games, 525 still for Ong. It's going to be considerably higher for Barrett, but now Barrett has to capitalise. The golden rule: when your opponent opens, you strike. Oh, there it is. That really has put some serious pressure on Remy Ong.
There is some big daylight now between the scores. And you're right, Simon. Dominic has really stamped his authority on that big open frame that Remy Ong had, the single pin miss. And as silly as it sounds, that could be the frame that actually loses the match. That's how desperately close these guys are to one another on a short format like this. And he's looking pretty pleased as punch, isn't he? Almost relaxed.
Yeah, probably won't do himself any harm if he does stay relaxed. The thing I think he's got to avoid, and a lot of coaches will tell you this, he's got to make sure he doesn't start interacting with the crowd too early. He's got to get this job done still, and Ong's dangerous, as that shot proves.
Well, Remy's only had 1 shot out of the pocket, and unfortunately he has that big open frame as well. He's been there or thereabouts, and this is another one right in the 1-2 pocket. This time he can get the carry percentage and takes all 10 pins away. He's going to have to finish with another 4 strikes in a row.
Yeah, you feel he's got to. This is his line. Well, that's pretty traditional for the left-handers at this tournament so far.
Yeah, around about 13-14 ball, pretty much down the line and in. Barrett looking for another one. There's the 4-9 that we've seen several times before in this tournament. Just a little bit high on the head pin. Very unfortunate to leave the 9-pin along with that 4, and well, this could be Barrett's open frame. Chance to spare it, it will go. He needs to chip that 4-pin very finely on the left-hand side. Chip it across.
Is he going to go for it, or is he just going to take his medicine and nip one of the pins out?
Well, he's working on 2 strikes, so it's going to count double, but it's not in our nature not to go for it, especially in a tournament like this.
No, he didn't like it. As soon as it left his hand, he knew he wasn't going to get any sort of angle. So, the first problem for Dominic Barrett. That will at least have given Remy Ong some encouragement, the sort of encouragement that Barrett wouldn't have wanted to offer. And his maximum tumbles now to 5-4-6 over the 2 games, so 2-4-6 for this one. And all of a sudden, the gap between the 2 is nowhere near as big.
Yeah, just down to 21 pins again. And the advantage with Ong here, because he's got the strike and he's going to work on the double going into the foundation frame, which is frame number 9. Crikey, these games move along so quickly, don't they?
Well, it does for us watching. Just imagine how fast it is for the players out there competing. We all know when you're playing a sport that it flies by. And a good foundation strike for Ong turns a single into a double.
Yeah, that's exactly what he was looking for. It's the time to make his move. Barrett opened, Ong has doubled. And it's, yeah, Remy's just checking the scores there. He'll feel certainly a lot better going into the 10th frame with that that double sitting there.
Barrett then. That's better. Now, we don't tend to offer excuses, do we, Cass? Just reasons for things happening, but clearly the lane changed on Dominic Barrett a bit, and he's made a nice adjustment.
Right, flashback in the pocket again, has carried all 10 pins. He's really got a high carry percentage, hasn't he, on those pocket hits?
Yeah, it's getting very, very impressive from the young Englishman. But it's going to need to be. The quality of opponent that he's on the stage with is just almost second to none in this tournament. Remy Ong, Asia's #1 bowler, will be able to get himself back into this match. He knows that, and he knows that the deficit that he was facing just 2 frames ago has not quite evaporated, but he's certainly halved it. Great shot. One of Ong's more convincing deliveries so far in this match.
Yeah, he's doubled up frames 9 and 10, gives himself 2 bonus shots.
Well, they want to go clean from here. That would bring him 225, which is, we think, just over the par for this lane. As ever, Ong proceeding at his pace. Has a meticulous pre-shot routine which rarely changes. Like that a lot.
Yeah, really taking advantage of the double of the 9th and 10th. He's made that 4 in a row, and he knew that was good. As soon as it came off the hand, he was happy with that. Gets the carry. That's what it's all about. Good bowling in the clutch frame here. Frame number 10. Strike for 225. Not a bad score. Probably just a bit below par. And that crazy 7-pin miss right in the middle, which that's kept the score down.
But he can thank Dominic Barrett for letting him back in.
Oh yeah, he's going to be there or thereabouts for the game number 2.
Well, telling it to sit worked last time, and it's worked this time as well. 225 for Remy Ong. That's a very good comeback indeed. Manages to string 5 strikes together to finish off that game. And what he's done is he's just reminded his young opponent, Dominic Barrett, who he's on the stage with. How will Barrett deal with this? It's all about mental pressure at this stage. Most of the players very similar in terms of their skills. It's what goes on in the mind.
Eight strikes for Ong in that game. 1 open frame. Barrett can up that with the double in the 10th.